Is we live? Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Trying to get it together over here. This light is killing me today. Better? No. I need it. Maybe I should sit up. Do I sit back? Trying to fix my lighting. And see. Oh, it didn't pop up. It's so strange, Keisha. Oh, hey, Phil. You're the only one who's ugly in the family, but thank you. Hi, Lisa. Lisa, I just made whiting and shrimp tonight using your secret. Hi, Corrali. Corrali, you and your husband in this cabin situation, I need to be there. Hi, Maisha. Hi, Marina. Tonight, we're going to discuss forgiveness. Forgiveness. And how forgiving an important man in my life led me to meet another important man in my life. So, hey, Marina girl. So we'll just wait like a minute or two, let a few people join in, and then we'll start. So if you guys haven't been here before, these are short. This is Who Cares What I Think, a chat with Kat, and it is a sarcastically safe space to talk shit ultimately. But I'll be connecting like what's happening in pop culture to things that relate to me and getting you guys' opinions and just hearing your thoughts. Oh, Kim, can you tell mommy that it's not, that I'm on right now? Zaire, text grandma that I'm on because my mom needs a reminder. The last two topics I've done, the first one was alopecia, something that I've been dealing with for a few years now, but most heavily the last 2 to 3 years. And then last week we discussed divorce and how we're not our parents nor our grandparents. But as you guys can see from the blogs, they taking it too far. Like, okay, I said like get a divorce if you're unhappy, but geez Louise, are we even fighting? Are we going to therapy? Are we calling in our family and friends to say, hey, things are not working with me and my partner. We need someone to help us? Golly. Like this Jeezy and Jeannie Mai has been very interesting. It's like so odd. Not odd. It's, I don't know what the word is, like hilarious to see like black women who are like so happy. Like, yeah, he needs to be with a black woman. And he can be with whoever he wants as long as he's happy. Like, please, whatever. Clearly, it didn't work. Hopefully, they're able to reconcile and figure it out. Because, listen, the first 2 years of marriage are rough. All right, which I discussed last week. So people just talk divorce, but Jeezy said he ain't about talking. He about that action. Kim, stop requesting to be a part of my live because you're not. Zaire, call her really quick. Log out and call her. Yeah, Keisha, I know you love Jeannie Mai. I wanted them to work too. Like, I like them together. Like, I watched her on The Real here and there. Like, I'm not really I wasn't really a The Real fan, but my friend Keisha was. And I watched Jeannie Mai on social media. And then we have Tiana and Iman who are separated. So there's still hope there, right? Like maybe they just need a little disconnection. Then they'll get it back together. So last week we spoke about divorce and people not being happy and how our generation is said to not fight and et cetera, et cetera. Maybe it's true. Marriage is hard and so are people. People are hard, okay? Even if you're not married, you could be having a boyfriend for 10 years and one day you're just like, I'm good. Anyway, tonight we're going to talk about forgiveness. And forgiveness is it's something. I never was a fan of like, I never really held grudges. But I don't know if I ever really like forgave. Like I just kind of moved on, like whatever, it is what it is. I'll deal with this person like this, but never really like truly like forgave. I mean, maybe I have, but anyway, tonight's topic is forgiveness, and we're gonna discuss how I had to forgive my dad in order to stop dating men who reminded me of my dad. So for all my girls with daddy issues, for those who think they don't have daddy issues, for my men with daddy issues, we are here together. This is a safe space. You can look around. We're good. It's no issues here. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's be honest. I'm here for all the opinions. Okay, so let's jump right in. Last week, 2 weeks ago, because I'm doing this every 2 weeks. I don't need too much pressure. So 2 weeks ago, I discussed how my parents had got a divorce. So they divorced when I was a freshman in college. And then by my senior year of college, I guess we graduated in May. So I would say this happened around April. I'm trying to say it without saying too much. But ultimately, me and my brothers and my dad had a conversation, ultimately. Another person was involved in this conversation. It was a bunch of he say, she say. I was at a younger age where this person was like talking about my mom. And I pulled up like, my mom told me to tell you to mind your motherfucking business, bitch. So ultimately, there was a situation amongst my father and someone else that someone else then involved me and my brother. And then me being the only girl and kind of like the one who's more boisterous and I'm with the shits, I had the most to say. And this person was talking a lot about my dad. Obviously, it was involving my dad, but a lot of things came up about my mom. So at the time, being young, not really realizing, in defending my mother, I was putting my father down. At the time, I didn't realize. I was like, oh, no, nobody's talking about my mom, so here we are, right? I'm with everything. It wasn't fighting or nothing like that. It was literally a conversation. So my dad gets wind of this conversation, and he's clearly not happy because this person went back and told him the truth, which I didn't care, but then added a little sauce on that thing. It was a little extra sauce that wasn't necessary. And my dad, as I told you guys last week, is like not a man of many words, and he proved it. He decided that he was gonna cut us off, me and my brother. Literally, he was like, "Oh, it's y'all gang, y'all gang from your mom." And this had nothing to do with your mom, but okay, it's a wrap for y'all. He he cut us off. I'm not really sure like what that luxury is like to cut your children off, but whatever. We're talking about the past. We're in a great space now, so obviously, guys, I'm just reliving a situation to tell you guys how we got from there to here. So my dad stopped talking to us. And initially I was hurt, obviously. Like, you don't want your parent to not speak to you, especially if you guys have a good relationship. But maybe like a weekend, I was like, whatever, like he's mad, he'll get over it. Excuse me. That week turned into 7 years. Okay. I did not speak to my father for 7 years. The man I lived with for the first 18 years of my life. We didn't speak for 7 years over a 30-minute conversation, over, again, lack of communication, right? Had I communicated with him what was said to me? Had he communicated what was happening before someone else came to tell us? So I still let I say that during that time, right, I'm filled with anger. Like, oh, my dad is not speaking to me. I'm graduating college in a month. Like, is he gonna come? Graduation rolls around. Silence. He didn't come to my graduation. He didn't send a text. I was distraught. Okay. I spent the night before graduation. My brother was working a job that wouldn't let him out early enough, and they had to catch, my brother, my mom, and my best friend had to catch the China bus from Manhattan to come to Virginia. I went to school in Richmond, Virginia. Shout out to VCU. So they missed the bus. They were trying to get another bus. So now I'm even more sad, right? Like, my dad is not coming. And now maybe my mother, my best friend, and my brother, like, this is my support system. Like, it's just us are not going to be here. So I spent the night at my friend. Well, I spent the evening at my friend Amanda's house. And we're, like, trying to look for buses and stuff. And just, like, overall sad, right? My graduation comes and goes. Okay, we're still not speaking. Then life happens, right? I'm, like, dating. I got my first car. I had my first serious job. Like, all these milestones were happening, and me and my father at the time weren't speaking. So then I asked my mom, like, okay, well, if I get married, like, how does that work? Like, he's not speaking to me. He's gonna walk me down the aisle. Oh, because I just knew that after I graduated college, I was gonna get a dream job and I was gonna get married, all in, like, a span of, like, 2-3 years. Like, they don't tell you that doesn't really happen. In my fantasy world, though, I was going to leave college, become this famous publicist, run through the city with Diddy and Hove. And here I am on the couch talking to you guys. So there goes life. No, but anyway. So those 7 years were really tough. Like, people are like, oh, I'm going to go see my dad. And my friend Keisha, like, she's really close to her dad. We went to, like, a pool one time, and her dad was asking me how was I? How have I been? And I was like, dang, like, I hugged her dad, and I was like, wow, I miss my dad. Like, I miss hearing, like, that little Haitian dad accent, and just checking in with your father, you know, like, all the things that you do with your dad. And for 7 years, we just didn't have that. So that was a lot of anger that became resentment, that became all types of things. Like, wow, how can you not check on your kids? Like, you don't care what's going on. You don't want to know what's happening. You, like, this was a conversation that happened. Nobody died, right? So it wasn't that serious to me, like, for him to cut us off. And in hindsight, I've learned that he was going through a lot of his own personal struggles, that me and my brother essentially stabbing him in the back was like, he just couldn't take one more thing. So to preserve his peace, or to just get away, he needed to cut everybody off. And I told you guys last week that my dad didn't grow up with his two parents. He grew up, he was raised with his aunt, who wasn't always nice. So again, when his back is against the wall, he's coming out guns blazing, and anybody can get it. And I thought that rule only applied to my mother, until I realized that it applied to me as well. It applied to, you see your dad at any family functions? No. There were no family functions to be had. So I saw my dad, let's say my dad cut us off in April. No, what's the month that comes before April? March. My dad cut us off in March. My grandmother passed away in April of 2011. I graduated in June of 2011. So in April, we had to go to the funeral. My dad walked in and hit me with and kept it pushing. That's that beige rage, yo. Like, your boy was wilding. And I was inside, like, I was sad. It was a funeral. But inside, I was like, wow. Like, this man is really nuts. Like, you really just walked in and gave me a head nod? Like, as if, like, he was some dude on the street that I used to mess with. And he was dead serious. So we didn't talk. And I'm dating. And I just literally was meeting all these special men. Special in the sense of, like, not wanting commitment, lying to me, saying that they wanted commitment. I was dating this guy who told me I was his girlfriend, right? And I believed it. Like, he was always over my house, always going out. And then one day this girl called me, and she was also his girlfriend. But instead of being mad at him, she then was mad at me and told me when I come to New York, she's going to beat me up. Ma'am, what you want to beat me up for? I'm as confused as you. So just meeting the wrong kind of guys, because although you have, like, I have my brothers around, I have my brother around, thank God, my brother always put gems in my head, like, oh, don't date this kind of guy, don't date guys from the hood, whatever, but you need your father, right? There's a fear that you have for your brother versus the fear that you have for your dad, which I also spoke about before. Like, my dad has never hit me. I've never gotten a beat. I never got slapped. I know my brother Kim always wanted that. They didn't need to do that to me. You give me the look and you give me a certain tone, and my ass was behaving, okay? So during those years, there's a lot of anger. Somebody mentions my dad, I'm like, don't talk to me about him. Don't mention him. My uncle who passed away from COVID, I told him, oh, when I get married, you can walk me down the aisle. And he's like, he's my father's older brother. He was like, absolutely not. You're not putting me in this drama. He didn't want any parts of that. So I say all of that to say that I was meeting a lot of clowns. I met a lot of good guys too, but timing just wasn't right. Like, things weren't working out, distance. But I met a lot of assholes. Like, I met a lot of crazy people. And at the time, like, oh, this is fun, I'm dating. Then you go home at night and you're like, whoa, like, this is crazy, right? And then you realize, like, dang, I wish, like, I had my dad here to talk to or tell him what I'm going through, or just hear his gems of what he went through when he was dating, etc., etc. I say all that I say that one of my friends, she had, one of my old friends, she had this, how can I describe it? Like a life coach, I would say. She's like a life coach. She had a program, and you guys see me promote it all the time. Like, oh yeah, my friend does this. She, like, you speak to her, like, she does, like, it wasn't therapy. It was literally like life coaching, like motivational. So she had one, and honey, I kissed a lot of frogs, okay? And only kiss. Let's not get that twisted. I was the kissing queen, baby. Anyway, so she had this life coaching. She used to host them weekly, monthly, whatever. You can have private sessions, and we're her friends, so we went to support her. So we joined in a woman's passage. Thank you, Keisha. We joined 5 of my closest friends. We did a session. We did 2 sessions, but this second session I did with my Queens girlfriends, or my girlfriends who went to St. John's Prep, and my junior high school best friend. We did a session where we just spoke about, it was about relationships and about letting go of fears and letting go of this, letting go of that. And we're all going around, and unexpectedly, like, it's my turn, and unexpectedly I'm talking about what's this, what's that. And I just said, like, I'm just tired of meeting men who remind me of my father. Let's rewind. At this point, I was so sick of being single. When I tell y'all, I used to cry all the time. I used to cry. Like, I used to just be so bored, so lonely. I had all my girlfriends, and then once they got boyfriends, of course, things change, right? They want to spend their weekends with their boyfriends. I wasn't in Harlem as much as I used to be hanging out with my Harlem friends, because they were cuffing so heavy. We tried to do the group dating thing, and I got stuck with the clown. So then I had to let him go, and then just life, right? Your friends are growing, and you're so happy for them, like, genuinely happy. Like, I've always been so happy for my friends when they've gotten relationships, when they've gotten, like, just these great men, and I wanted that. And I didn't want their men. I wanted a healthy relationship. I wanted my own relationship that looked like what it looked like for me. And it just wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. I was in a situationship for like 2.5 years. And going into that, I knew I shouldn't have expected anything from that. But your stupid mind, like, when you fall in love, you're like, oh, this person is going to change, or this is going to become this, is going to be that. And when that didn't happen, I was like broken. I was like, yo, I put myself in a situation, so I'm not giving that 100% blame. But I just was meeting and settling for certain things because maybe I witnessed my mom settle for that when she was dealing with certain things that my dad was doing. Or maybe my dad, we always joked in the house about my dad cheating. My mom was laughing, like, oh yeah, I caught your dad doing this and the third. And it was always funny until I became a woman. And I'm like, I'm confused. Like, why was that funny? Because every time my father would have said that joke, if I was my mother, I would have been knocking his head off. Like, that's not funny. Anyway, back to the story, is that I was sitting in the group, and I finally said, like, I'm tired of meeting men like my dad. I'm sick of it. These men, they this, they that. They want to be a part of your life when they want to, whatever. And again, I hadn't seen my dad in 7 years at this point. So, friend tells me, how about you forgive your dad, and then you'll meet somebody who's not like your dad? And I was like, at this point, I'm willing to try anything. Like, I'm sure I probably was a little resistant at first. Like, what? Forgive my dad? Like, what does that have to do with anything, right? Because you don't think that one part of your life is connected to the other. And really, everything is, like, totally connected. So she tells me to forgive my dad. So I am like, okay, I don't know what this looks like. Whenever I see him, it will happen. The next day, I found out that a mutual friend of my parents, his mom had passed away. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm so gassy. Excuse me. So I found out that his mom has passed away. Yeah, Betty, 100%. Joking always camouflages the pain. That's my favorite thing. I'll be in the... Good night, Phoenix. This girl is nuts. So I'll be in the middle of, like, bawling out, crying, and then bust out a joke because I'm just like, I can't sit in pain for too long. Like we need to crack a little joke. Anyway, so I say that to say that I found out the next day that my parents' mutual friend, his mom had passed away, and there'll be a funeral. And I'm like, oh my God, my dad is going to be there. What does that look like? Me and my mom go to the funeral. I get in. We sit right in the front. So I never turn around to see if I'm going to see my dad. So it's a Catholic funeral, so we have to go up and get the bread and the wine. Again, this is pre-COVID, so I go get the bread and the wine. As I'm walking, you walk in a circle and you have to walk back down the aisle to get back to your seat. I see my dad, so my eyes are like bitch. And I probably said bitch in the church too, God forgive me. But I'm like, bitch. There he goes. Go sit down. And as I'm telling my mind to sit down, my body is walking straight up to him. I literally walked straight up to my father and I just hugged him and he hugged me back. And I'm lying. I hugged his friend first and then I hugged him because the friend happened to get in the way. Like, he didn't realize I was going that direction. And I hugged him, he hugged me, and it's like I just broke the ice. And he, you know how you hold somebody, like you look back and he's like, wow, like he hadn't physically seen me in 7 years. Last time he saw me, I was 18 years old. I don't know, do the math. I'm not a mathematician. I was a writing major. So he hadn't seen me. So he's looking at me like, wow, this is like my kid. Like, this is a woman now. And I didn't have alopecia then. I mean, I had a little bit, but okay, I was in church giving pin curls from the Dominicans. So that was it. So now I just started walking back to my seat, and my mom is looking around. She's like, where were you? And I was like, I don't know. Like, something's up with this church. I just walked up to this nigga. Like, something just happened. Like, I just literally walked up to him. So I walked up to my dad, and I walked back. I sit with my mom, and she's like, how do you feel? I'm like, I'm okay. Like, it wasn't that bad. The funeral is ending. You guys know how it goes. The family goes first, and then everybody else. Like I said, we were in the first or second row, maybe like the third row. We're walking out the funeral, and then my dad, kind of like pauses so that he can walk with us. So we'll walk with me because my mom, she wasn't with it, right? Phoenix, stop talking. Please go to sleep. Next 2 weeks topic is going to be these kids are annoying. Because, bro, I just need 30 minutes to myself. Okay. My dad winds up coming, standing next to me. And we're walking, and he's like, so how you been? And I'm like, it's so awkward, right? I'm like, I got my first car, and I got a job, and like this, she's supposed to be asleep. She keeps using the potty. That's her way to get out the room. So conversation is awkward. We get to the repast. He sits next to me. Still awkward. In my mind, I'm like, can he go sit somewhere else? Like, it's given like I used to mess with you, but now I don't. But we're going to keep it cute because we're in public and because I don't hate you. But like, that's what I can't. There's no words, but y'all know what this is. Like, you just like trying to get out of there. So, yeah. Fast forward. I wound up seeing him again somewhere else. Because at this point, I don't even have his phone number, right? I have nothing. I wound up bumping into him again, I think at another funeral. And this time, I think my brother was there. And he's a different kind of Gemini. He holds grudges, okay? He's grudging you to the grave, okay? He's gonna pull up at your grave and kick a little extra dirt in there. So at that point, we exchanged phone numbers, and then we start speaking. It's like small conversations. I don't know. Anyway, we start speaking ultimately. And my friend, obviously I go back to the girls in the group, but we're still in a group chat till this day, -1. And I'm like, hey guys, like, I see my dad. We spoke. We've been having small talk. We still hadn't discussed why we stopped talking. We were keeping it light and just trying to fill each other out. And then one day we had a conversation. And the biggest piece for me, which I can tell you guys now, was why I couldn't forgive my father in those 7 years, was because I felt like I needed an apology for being cut off. And I knew that I would never get it. My father, both my parents, they do not apologize. I don't know if it's a Haitian thing, or old person thing, or what. Because I can say sorry. I don't have Haitian saying sorry. My parents do not say sorry. And I knew that my father would never tell me sorry. And I couldn't get past that point. So for those 7 years, it's like, well, if he's not going to say sorry, then what are we rekindling for? What am I trying to rebuild this relationship for? I'm no longer a child, right? Oh, it's a parent thing. I'm no longer a child. Like, I want the same respect that you want. And we should discuss this situation and what happened and how I could handle it better. But cutting me off for 7 years, my boy, you took it too far, Biggs. You've gone too far. So one day, I don't know what happens, but I tell my dad, let's go eat hibachi. So we go to the hibachi spot again. This is probably maybe like 2 months in of small talking. And we still hadn't discussed discuss what happened. So I just bring it up because I just want to get things out the way. I don't like being awkward with anybody. I don't like weird energy. And I just asked him. And I literally said to him, I looked at him and I said, what made you think that it was appropriate to not speak to me for 7 years? I'm your only daughter. That was extremely mean, extremely hurtful. Why? And he looked at me and he said, you guys really hurt my feelings. And I didn't know what to do with that. So the best thing that I know how to do is cut people off. I've watched him do it again throughout the years. I watched him cut my mother off. Okay? In a second. I thought I was exempt. It's hilarious to me because for years, I carried so much anger that when I would argue with somebody and they'd be like, oh, some, I'd be like, I cut my father off. Who are you? Like, I haven't spoken to my father in XYZ. I don't need to talk to you. And it was for real, right? Because I felt like if somebody this important in my life can cut me off, then I can cut off somebody who's not that important in my life. Or I can make that distance or make that space. So anyway, I say what I say that we had a conversation. And in the conversation, he never apologizes. But by the time I spoke to him, I had already gone into this conversation not expecting an apology. I had moved on from that. I was like, life is so much bigger. If my dad dies tomorrow, am I going to be like, oh, whatever, it was worth it. That 5 minutes of argue or disagreement was worth not speaking to him, and now he's passed away. I couldn't live with that. I struggled with that for a long time. Like, saying, should I call him? Like, what if he dies and we don't get to speak? Or what if he dies and I don't get to say nothing? Like, I watch friends and family lose their parents, and I'm just like, that has to be I can't imagine what that feels like. Because I told my mother, if my mother tries to die, I'm getting in the casket too. So Phoenix and her father got to figure it out. I'm out of here. Me and Solange, we are soulmates. We cannot live apart. So anyway, I struggled with that. And anyway, so my dad basically told me, like, that was hard for me. He's like, on your graduation, like, I cried. And he just said that his ego was so big that he could not put his ego aside to call his kids and just say, hey, you guys hurt my feelings. Like, the ego was, hey, everybody. The ego was just too big. And he didn't say he was sorry, but he said, everything that was around it. Like, I should have handled it better. I should have spoken to you. I should have never missed your graduation. I should have never missed this. I should have never missed that. And all of those items equated for me as him saying I'm sorry, right? He ain't saying the words I'm sorry or I apologize, but it was like I could have done better. And had my ego not been in the way, had my life not been falling apart, like he was still rebuilding his life from that divorce, and thinking the grass is greener on the other side. And then when reality hit, like everything was coming at him at once. So as an adult, like I could sit there and I still didn't respect us not speaking, but I heard him, right? And it was in that moment that I had to remind myself, and through that workshop that we did, was that our parents are still people. Like, you don't just become a parent and have all the answers. You don't just get married and have all the answers. You don't just go into a new job and have all the answers. It's on the job training, literally on the job training. And my father had so much shit in his own life that he just genuinely couldn't deal with nobody else coming for him. Like, he just couldn't deal. So I feel like that night, that conversation, if there was a gap in between us, it closed. Again, it wasn't like we were going to speak every day or whatever, but the resentment, the guilt on his end, the anger on my end, it left. Completely left. Like, left. And I was feeling better and I was moving different. And I went into it like, okay, God, like, I forgave my dad. Like, I hope I meet new guys who are different. I'm no longer like bagging guys, because I used to be good to bag somebody. Because I don't know what's up with men. Like, are y'all, like, why are y'all weird? Like, if you see a woman that you like, pull up. They wasn't pulling up, so I was pulling up. And I never had an issue with that. Because, again, I was raised by brothers, so I think I got a lot of game. And that used to work in my favor. But I was done with that, too, right? Because I'm like, clearly I can't choose. Because I keep choosing crazies. I went on a date with this crazy guy. Let me tell you this story real quick. I met this guy in a jewelry store. And he asked me to go on a date. I'm single as hell. Okay, when can we be on a date? He's like, today. I'm going to pick you up in an hour. And he comes to pick me up, and he's in a Bentley. His face, his attire didn't match the salary income required to own a Bentley. It was at that moment that I knew that I should not have gone on a date with that man. We go on a date. I'm probably wearing like a loose shirt like this. And he tells me, he's like, you are so beautiful, but I'm going to fix you. You ain't got no titties. I'm going to get you some breasts. And I was sitting there like, who don't got no titties? I've been a 34 double D since like the 7th grade. Like, this nigga is crazy. I just was trying to eat my food and get back home. And anyway, I drove the Bentley back home because, I mean, if it's our last date, I might as well go out with a bang. But before I started driving the Bentley, I said to him, like, are there any weapons in this car that I need to know about? And he said, there's a gun under the driver's seat. And I pulled that car over so fast, and I was like, oh, hell no. Guys, he drives me home. I'm freaked out for like 3 blocks because y'all know I follow the law. I don't text and drive. I don't go past the speed limit. I don't break the law. Like, I'm a law-abiding citizen, okay? And this man drops me home. He's like, I'm going to go to the club tonight. Be getting bottles. You want to pull up? Sir, I got to babysit. My brother, he is sick. His baby mama about to drop the kids over. I'm so busy. Like, I'm so sorry. Next time I'm going to come. Yeah, my friends call me RoboCop because I follow the law, and I'll make sure they follow the law as well. Anyway, I didn't hear from him again. Why did this man call me 3 days later and told me he was in bookings for like 2 days? He had to wait to see a judge because it was a weekend. Like, this is the kind of crazy that I was meeting. I was meeting crazy people. So I needed to forgive my dad because I needed to please, Keisha, don't have me tell the people about that date, because that date That date that you went on? Yes, Keisha needs a TED Talk for that date. Anyway, so I say that to say that I have met a lot of crazy men. That man was amongst the crazies. Oh, and he also told me that I was going to be his third baby mother. I like that he was very upfront with me so that I knew to run immediately. She's a runner. She's a track star. Because I had to get up out of there. Anyway, so fast forward, 4 months later, I wound up going with a friend to a Yankees game. We attempted to go to a Yankees game, and we weren't able to get in because said friend is always late, and she's on here now. She's always late. We didn't get into the Yankees game, and her boyfriend was like, oh, I'll pay for you guys to go to dinner or lunch at Ricardo's. So Ricardo's in Harlem. You guys know it's like on 112th and 2nd Avenue. Yes, Amanda, he was from Brooklyn, because I'm good off Brooklyn people. It was a nice run. It was a beautiful run. Thank you. Thank God somebody put a ring on it, because no. Anyway, we walk into Ricardo's and we're trying to sit down, and we have 3 chairs and it's 4 of us. So I asked my friend Marina, I'm like, hey, can you go ask that guy in the front for his chair? At this point, I'm not dating anybody. My phone is dry. Like, only people texting me are like my niece, my nephew, and my girlfriend, and my mom, right? Because me and her were always going on vacation. She was not my vacation buddy because I had no joints. And my friend Marina goes to the front to ask this guy for a chair. He's then taking forever to give her a chair. I lean back and I'm like, bro, just give her the chair. Like, what's all this talking about? So then he comes up to me like, who are you? I'm like, who are you? Who are you? And 3.5 years later, he is my husband. So I met my husband by 1, forgiving my dad, and by 2, using my good-looking friend with the big butt to go get a chair. So here we are. So anyway, I say all of that to say that I really needed to forgive my dad. For myself, right? Because clearly I'm hanging on to anger. I'm willing to cut any and everybody off because, the person who's most important to me has given me the example that it's okay. Like, if you don't want to fool with nobody, then you don't do that, right? And it was not okay, but I needed to forgive my dad so that I could stop making the same mistakes, which is bagging people I have no business bagging, or being in Bentleys that it gets worse. I think he told me he crashed a Bentley. He was a mess. Like this, like if I tell y'all more of my dating stories, like you wouldn't believe me. Like it's a joke. My dating life was a whole joke. So ultimately, I say that to say that when I forgave my dad, I opened up space maybe in my aura to be more empathetic to people, because forgiving my dad let me see that while I was so concerned about myself, thinking that he cut me off because of X, Y, and Z, he was going through his own stuff. So you may be dealing with somebody right now who's going through their own ish, and you're getting the backlash of it. I know, I'm sorry about the comb. I was combing this wig before I got on here. Sorry. He was going through his own stuff, and I couldn't see it because it was all about me. So I needed to forgive my dad. I needed to see my dad as his own person. Forgiving my dad allowed me, to meet a good man. When I first met Justin, like I said, we were in Ricardo's. We asked for the chair. He pulls up and he's like, oh, what's your name? What's this? What's that? And I was like, oh, I'm Kat. And he's like, oh, you single? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm just out of a situationship. Like, I had a dream that he was talking to another girl, and I went and asked him, and he told me, yeah. And this is a real story. I really did have a dream, because I be dreaming. So fuck around and find out. And then he asked me for my number. No, I think I had to run to my car for something. He asked me for a number. Anyway, the point is that in dating Justin, instead of playing all these games, he was consistent from the jump. So I met him on Cinco de Mayo, and then our first date was the 6th. And then this man called me every single day, consistent. We went on dates. We used to go on movie dates every Tuesday, and was consistent. And what's the word? I feel like I owe that all to forgiving my dad, right? My friend told me, when you forgive your dad, things will change, right? Because you just told me you're tired of dating men like your dad. Who are you the most angry with? Your dad. Naturally, women, like you're around a certain type of household, certain type of thing. Sometimes you subconsciously attract that person or that man, right? So I needed to forgive him and forgive that situation to move on with my life and to meet a great man. Not a perfect man, but a great but a great man. So forgiveness is real, y'all, and me and my dad are in such a great space, and soon he'll be walking me down the aisle. So we got married in City Hall, so we didn't get to walk down the aisle, but we're walking down the aisle soon. And this will be a proud moment because I'm just like, wow, like 6.5 years ago, I was like, wow, who's gonna walk me down the aisle? And now we get to actually do it because we've mended. And through seeing me forgive my dad, that opened for my brother to forgive my dad. That opened for my mother to, like I said last week, like to forgive my dad, to move on, like, you know, and now he has these relationships, people to call and things. So shout out to forgiveness. But I would love to hear from you guys. Like, how do you guys feel about forgiveness? Or are there any like forgiveness pieces or advice that you want to share? Because I've only had to, okay, well, let me add another piece to it. So after I forgave my dad, that was only one piece of the puzzle. I was dating, I was in a situationship for 2.5 years. I really wanted that to become something that was impossible in reality. And so when I started dating Justin, while I forgave my dad and met this great man, I hadn't forgiven my ex, who had just left a bad taste in my mouth. So I was coming in this new relationship with all this baggage, right? I have this good man, not perfect, who is showing me consistency. Everything I've asked for is happening. Hey, my friends are having a dinner. Do you want to come? Absolutely. Hey, I'm having an event. Yo, stay hungry. It's all the way in Brooklyn. You want to come? Sure. Your boy took 3 trains to come see me. I had a dude with a car. I couldn't get this man to come see me. He would only come see me when I broke up with him. Like, this is what we went on dates every week. We had a movie date every single week. Like, Justin made no excuses to be my man. But yet, that was hard for me to accept because I had been dealing with so much BS that when I met a good man, I didn't know what it felt like to receive it. I was like, whoa, he is smothering me. I used to call him Smother Boo. So my mom was like, okay, I want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly. He takes you on dates. He calls you. He wants to be your boyfriend. I think we made it official in like 2 weeks. So I had went to Greece, and when I came back, I was like, yeah, all right, I'm with it. We were official. Like, there was no fight from Justin. I tried to break up with Justin. I was like, I don't think I like you. Like, it's giving you're too perfect. Like, no, I will not be fooled again. And he hit me with the, okay, well, we can be friends, you know, because I still like you as a friend, and we can still be friends. And I was like, who is this person? So I had to forgive my ex. I had to have a conversation with my ex that I discussed with Justin. Like, hey, I need to talk to him because I need to forgive him as well and all the things that we went through, and forgive myself, right? Because, like, I was another person in that relationship. I played 50-50 of, like, somebody telling me, hey, I don't want a girlfriend, or I don't want this. And me like, yes, you do. You do want a girlfriend. You just don't know it yet. It's me. I win. You lose. Yeah, so that didn't happen. So I had to forgive him. And when I forgave my ex, me and Justin's relationship became so much better because I wasn't holding on to the baggage of this person doesn't want me, or this is not going to work out, or this or this or this. So I had forgiveness. I had to forgive 2 men in my life in order to meet a great man. And that worked out for me, right? That may not be your story, but I just say, like, change your mind frame. Consider forgiving somebody. Consider, I don't know, even if you don't want to forgive that person, forgiveness is really for yourself. They tell us that all the time, and it's so hard to believe, but the amount of weight that was off my shoulder when I no longer had to worry about not speaking to my dad, or not speaking about this, or not bumping into this. Even with my ex, I'm like, oh my God, now I gotta see his friends on Instagram, or I gotta see his friends here, or if I see like, I don't know, a video that I want to send, like I'm so used to like sending it to him, and I still want us to be friends. I'm cool with everybody I used to date, because I leave those relationships angry initially, obviously, but I feel like these are good people, right? Not the crazies, like the actual good people who I maintain civil relationships with. And in order for me to be a good girlfriend out to Justin at the time, I wanted to clear out any burdens that were in the way. So forgiving my dad and forgiving my ex ultimately led me to a good man. And I still needed work to do. So yeah, let me check out some of you guys' questions and stuff like that, or forgiveness, or some of your advice. What was a journey like meeting a great man and receiving it? Because sometimes girl, I put Justin through the ringer, okay? I was calling him all type of smother boy. Like, you're annoying. Like, why you always want to see me? You want to see me every week? You want to see me every other day? Why? Like my friends were like, okay, just break up with him because you're stupid. Clearly you're stupid. Clearly you deserve to be alone, because we are trying to figure out the problem. I'm like, you guys are not listening. Okay? He's not toxic. I don't know what to do with that. That's crazy. Sometimes it's hard to untoxic yourself. What else? I'm scrolling. I'm so happy you guys joined me. I'm going to the circus tomorrow with Phoenix. Blame yourself. Hey, Skip. I'm going to the circus tomorrow, so we had to hold this chat today because I love the circus. Do you guys remember that one year when I went to the circus and I did a lap dance at the Soul Circus? I was with it. They do they have like actors, but they do pull people out the audience. Okay, I finally got this question box. Did Justin know he was with someone who was broken? How did you handle it? And has he ever shared what it was like looking inside? Did Justin know that he was dealing with somebody who was broken? I would say yes. The first thing I told him when I met him was I just got out of a situationship. I found out that he was dealing with 2 other women I had a dream. Like literally, night, sleepy, wake up. You know how y'all see memes like, oh, you wake up at your man, you mad that he was cheating? Yeah, if I have a dream like that, it's real. So, I wish I would have a dream about this nigga that I'm with right now. But I think that he had an idea just from how I used to speak. Like, I never wanted kids, and I had told him, like, oh, I never wanted kids when I was with this guy, toxic. I wanted kids, and that probably was like just a mechanism, like, oh, if I have a kid or we get married one day, like, we'll be together and da-da-da-da. And then by the time I got with Justin, I was like, I don't want any kids. Like, I was back on I don't want any kids, or everything was an issue. So I think he knew, and he had a lot of patience. He doesn't have that patience anymore, though, but he had a lot of patience. How did he handle it? Yeah, he was really patient. He used to always be like, okay. He didn't say too much. He was just consistent. And I think that's what I loved about him. Initially was like, he never spoke. He was a man of his word from the beginning. If he told me he was pulling up, he was pulling up. If he told me he was down to ride, he was down to ride. So, yeah, I forgot the second part of the question. Jesus. Uh-oh. Where did it go? Hold on. Has he ever shared outside looking in? No, he just thought I was crazy. He thought I had a bad attitude, and he used to pray for me. Prayers do work. Because here we are. 3.5 years later. Anybody else? Yeah, take notes. Forgive somebody in your life. We don't want to have any regrets, right? Life is not guaranteed, guys. I mean, we already know that. But, like, tomorrow's not guaranteed. I have trips planned up until the next few months. Who's to say? Like, right? Like, I pray to God that I see tomorrow. I pray to God that I see next month, next week. We never know. Forgive somebody in your life who you think needs forgiveness. But you don't even have to tell them. You can forgive them for yourself. I think that was another piece. Like, I was trying to forgive for myself, and it worked 50%, but I needed the other person to know. But sometimes that doesn't always happen. You don't always get the full closure. Anyway, tonight was I guess session 3 of Who Cares What I Think. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in every week. And if you're not able to tune in live, obviously it's on my page. I appreciate it. So your challenge for the next 2 weeks is to go and forgive somebody and report back to me in another 2 weeks, where we will be discussing kids and how they're annoying. Stop telling me, oh, my kid is great. Your kid is annoying, and so is mine, okay? Good night, guys.